All right, peace to the 12. Y'all see the title, man. The Moors and the Moabites. All right, I'm going to say that one more time. The title of this video is The Moors and the Moabites. And the reason I'm doing this video is because there is some misinformation circling around. You could call it misinformation, I suppose. About the Moabites and the Moors being the same people. All right, I've seen this floating around. I thought it was a new doctrine, but actually when I got to looking it up for this video, this is a doctrine that was around before I was even born, and I'll show that right now. So I typed in Moors and Moabites. It says Ali made the claim that Moors were the ancient Moabites, and these same Moabites founded the holy city of Mecca. These claims have been called innovative and dismissed as having no historical validity whatsoever. This paper refutes these claims and proves Ali's claims via the historical records. Right, so this guy Ali, for those of you who don't know who it's talking about Noble Drew Ali. He's the founder of the Moorish Science Temple. All right, and no, I'm not a member. This is simply to show who is who. And you know this is a scriptural channel, so we will be going to the scriptures. As a matter of fact, what? A Moabite comes from where? Comes from the Bible, right? Now, Noble Drew Ali, he's the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. He was born in 1886. All right, and he was an American religious leader in the early 20th century. He founded a series of organizations. He made this claim, and people picked up this claim and ran with it afterwards. So you have people writing books like The Moabites, Who Are the Moors? Then you got people writing books like Moors, Moabite, and Man, right? Well, believe it or not, both the Moabites and the Moors are mentioned in the Bible, which is what this video is going to prove. And I'm also going to be touching on the Moabites and some of their history, and I'm also going to go into some theories that I have that I will substantiate at a later time when I get more information on it. But I have a theory on who the original Moabites are, and if there's a possibility that the current Moabites that are today could be of hybrid stock. But once again, that's a theory that I have that I will substantiate at a later time when I do more research. Because admittingly, of all the nations that I talk about in the Bible, the nations I don't study the most, I'd say probably are the Moabites and Ammonites in particular. But anyway, let's get into what I'm saying. Believe it or not, both the Moabites and the Moors are mentioned in the Bible. As a matter of fact, you can see both of them being mentioned in the same chapter. In the exact same chapter, right? What book am I talking about? We go to the book of Zephaniah. The prophet Zephaniah, by the way, his father's name was Cushi. I should do a whole nother video on that, and it's why his name was Cushi. For those of you who know, the name Cushi means black. But that's another video for another day. I think I'm going to touch on that. It might be my next video. Anyway, it's a fake image, obviously. Now we're going to go to Zephaniah chapter 2. We're going to go to Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 12. The Moors and the Moabites are mentioned and they're both mentioned in Zephaniah, the second chapter. And for those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, you already know where I'm going with this. So Zephaniah 2 and 12. The King James Version reads, Ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword. All right. Then you go to the other translations. If it doesn't say Ethiopians, then it will say Cushites, Ethiopians, Cushites. That's what all these different translations say about Zephaniah 2 and 12. But, well, first, let me see. What is an Ethiopian? Well, the term Ethiopian means burnt face. The name Ethiopia itself is Greek and means a burned face. All right. It is first attested in Homeric epics, but is unlikely to have referred to any particular nation, but rather the people of African descent in general. Yeah, that's what they say. You know, but I've done videos on this topic. But Ethiopia means in the Bible, Ethiopia means black in complexion, right? Now, mind you, it says ye Ethiopians, ye shall be slain by sword. What does that have to do with the Moors? Well, in another version of this scripture, the word Ethiopian is changed to something else. All right. Now, when we go back to Zephaniah 2 and 12, ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword. Now, when we go to this version right here, in the early modern 1587 edition of the Geneva Bible 1587 edition, it says, ye Moorians also shall be slain by my sword with them. In Bishop's Bible 1568, it says, ye Moorians also shall perish with my sword. Coverdale Bible of 1535 says, Ye Moorites also shall perish with my sword. Right? Moorian. Now, what is a Moorian, right? Well, a Moorian, simply put, a Moorian is a Moor, right? It's the plural form of a Moor. What is a Moorian? A Moor. All right? See that? And the word Moorian means black as well. Just how Ethiopia means black in complexion. The term Moorian means individual with black skin color. We're going to be touching on what the word Moor means and the misinformation they tell you about Moors. Deliberately so, by the way. They deliberately try to tell you a Moor is an Arab or a Berber. But that's not what Moor means, and I'll prove that in this video. Now, a book that we'll be going to that has somebody named Moorian as well. This is a book known as the Lancelot Compilation, right? Because when we go to the book of Lancelot, and this was written in in 1320, there is a character by the name. There's a knight by the name of Moorian, and Moorian was as black as a raven. All right. Then it tells you on page 74 as well in the book of Lancelot. On the 9th day of their quest, Walawin and Lancelot meet a black knight wearing black armor whose name is Moorian. All right. So Moorian was a so-called black man. All right. They say he's the only black member of the Round Table. That's what they say. Allegedly, I'd have to look more into that. Sir Moorian from Lancelot Compilation, 1320 AD. So this is a so-called black man who was named Moorian. Don't forget the word Moorian was in fact in certain Bibles in replace of the Ethiopian, which is dealing with the individual with black skin color, so-called black, right? So if Ethiopian and Moorian means dark-skinned or black, what is a Moor and what does the word mean, right? Now, I could say this technically, if my theory is proven correct when I do the study on it, technically you could still call a Moabite a Moor, just like you could call a Dravidian a Moor, or you could call a Ethiopian a Moor, you could call an African American a Moor. And I say technically because the word Moor really means dark skin. So anybody that's dark skinned would be applicable to the term Moor. But the Moors that they're trying to put these guys connected to, I'm trying not to be confusing. The Moors they're trying to connect them to historically, meaning the Moors of Europe, the so-called black Moors of Europe, they have no relation to the Moabites. All right? But anyway, just a side for it. I'm trying not to be confusing, but, certain people are on certain levels. But anyway, we said go back to what I said. So if Ethiopian and Moorian means dark skin or black, what is a Moor and what does the word mean? Well, if you let these devils tell you, they'll tell you a Moor means a whole bunch of things that it don't mean, right? Because they've changed the meaning. Why? Because they're the damn devil, right? And you already know who I'm talking to. I ain't got to say no names on who that devil is. Just know he's the red man. All right? The nation that's hated by God. But anyway, because if I ask the Google machine, right, I'll say, what does the word Moor mean? It will say chiefly British. It means an expanse of open and rolling and fertile land or a boggy area. That's what they'll say the word Moor means. Or I'll go here and I'll type in what's a Moor in the encyclopedia, and it'll say, Moor in English usage Moroccan or formerly a member of the Muslim population of Al-Andalus, now Spain and Portugal. So they'll tell you that a Moor is a member of the Muslim population. And they'll say that these are what the Moors look like. All lies concocted by this damn devil to try to eliminate the so-called black man's rulership in history, which is what they've been doing forever. They do it with Egypt. They do it with the Moors. They do it with the Israelites. Right? I've done videos on that in the past, but these are all lies, right? So what does the word Moor mean? Well, I'm going to prove it to you guys historically. All right? Back before the devil changed the word, let's see what it means. We're going to go to first person. Samuel Johnson, English writer, born September 18th, 1709. He was a poet, playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, biographer, all that, right? Now, when we go to Samuel Johnson's dictionary, this guy's dictionary, you type in the word Moor. It does have that marsh, right? But then it says what? Moor. Moors, Latin, a Negro, a blackamoor. So a Moor is a Negro or a blackamoor, right? All right. And as a matter of fact, David McRitchie, the anthropologist who I quote often, who wrote the two-part series Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1 and 2. He actually mentions this in his book, David Ritchie, another guy born in 1851. And he states in page 46 of Ancient and Modern Britons, I believe this is Volume 1. He states on page 46, he says, any Latin dictionary, any old one at least, will tell you that Morris is a Moor, a blackamoor or a tawny Moor, and Shakespeare used the word Moor as a synonym for a Negro, right? Moor signifying thereby any black or brown skinned man. All right? So he tell you right now, any old dictionary, it'll tell you that a Moor is a so-called black man, period. Black or brown skinned man. Right? Now let's put that to the test. Let's go to some dictionaries. We're going to go to John Entick, born 1703. We're going to go to his New English Latin Dictionary by John Entick. This is the word Morris. It says Moor, a blackamoor. Mori, Morris, signifying the Moors, the people of Mauritania, the farthest part of Africa to the south. It says Moor Ethiops. Morris, right? Moor Ethiops. Meaning what? An Ethiopian. What does Ethiops mean? Burnt face. All right? It may refer to Ethiopia, an ancient term for parts of Africa. Right? So the Moor means a black man, right? We go to the Imperial Dictionary of the English Language. All right, we go to the lexicon by John Ogilvie, born 1797. All right, we're going to go to here, volume 3 of his Imperial Dictionary on the English language. Moor. It says Moor, Mar, Morris. Morris, a Moor probably from Moros, black or dark colored. A native of the northern coast of Africa called by the Roman Mauritania the country of dark complexioned people. Right? Moor. Reading on, Moor, page 754. Moor, black, a Negro, a blackamoor, right? The Negro's belly, the Moor, is with a child. You, Shakespeare, right? So, I even asked ChatGPT, I said, does the word Mavro mean black? It says, yes, you are correct. Mavro is the Greek word for black, and it's sometimes used to refer to the Moor, especially in the context of dark or black soil. The connection between the Greek word Mavro and the English word Moor is linguistic and involves a similarity in the color-related aspects of the terms. So, yeah, the Moor just means a so-called black man, period, you know. Somebody could say, well, when we go back, it says Ethiopian. So you're saying you guys are Moors, which is true. But I've proven in other video, or I'm not going to say it's true, but technically it would be true because, once again, a Moor is dealing with complexion. It's not necessarily a nation, so to speak, though some would dispute that. But the reason I'm even saying that is they say, well, it says Ethiopians, you're replaced with Moor. That means the Moors are Ethiopians. Not quite. I've proven in other videos, I didn't include it in this video for sake of time, but I've proven that many people have mistaken the Israelites for Ethiopians. All right? Many people. I've done many videos on that. Go watch the most recent one I did. I think it was talk about African Hebrews on the wall or something like that. It's the video I did before the Mexican tribe of Issachar video. You can go check it out. But and the word Mavro means, the name means more dark-skinned. Right, dark color of skin, more dark, right? Here's a picture of a 1316 painting, the Moor van Friesing, 1316, which just translates to the Moor of Friesling from 1316. You can look up another tapestry from 1440 called Wild Man and Moors in the Boston Museum of Fine Art. This is the wild men versus the Moors. If you got a brain, you can tell who the wild men are, right? You can tell who this looks like, right? The damn devil, right? And then you got the Moors fighting them off. All right, the wild men and the Moors, tapestry 1350 to 1400, depicting the rulish Moors, Strasbourg of France, Germany, Boston Museum of Fine Arts, fighting them off, right? And for those of you that don't know, the Moors ruled Europe for 800 years. Look that up. Let me look that up real quick for the people. For the people. Oh, here's another painting while I look for it. It says Moses defeating the Moors from Rudolf von M's World Chronicle, about 1400 to 1410. German temporary colors and golden leaf of the parchment. So as you can clearly see, the Moors, there's a Moorish king, right? So we got these dumb, degenerate, inbred, hillbilly backwood hicks, right? That can't stay out into the sun too long when they say we was kings, or what do you say that there? But anyway, I don't really care what you say because I don't care about your opinion. But let me type in what I said about the Moors ruling for 800 years. Let me ask Google real quick because I had it in the future and I had it in another presentation. But I'll just pull it up on Google, see if it does it for me. Europe, 800 years. Come on, man. Yeah, all right, here we go. Here we go. Bear with me 1 second. Come on, man. Every time I'm recording, man, I get to look at stuff up. Computer freezes. There we go. This is right here. So, sorry for that. So, let's prove that real quick with one simple Google. It says, this is from Andalusia.com. It says the Moors, we just proved who the Moors were. It's talking about so-called black people. Not no damn Muslim or any of that, right? Not no damn Marsh. So it says the Moors ruled parts of Andalusia from the early 8th until the late 15th century. 800 years of history. Their legacy, especially in terms of what we can see today, was considerable, with two of the region's most important and most visited monuments, the Alhambra and the Mesquita, dating from Moorish times. All right? So 800 years the Moors ruled, meaning what? Europe was ruled by so-called blacks for over 800 years. Really, it's over 1,000 years, and that's pursuant to Revelation, right? Where it tells you about the what is it? The devil, or I think it says Satan. I'm paraphrasing. But in Revelations, where it says he was sealed up for 1,000 years, and then he would be released for a little season, a brother can put that scripture in my comment section, and I'll do a breakdown on that video or on that verse at another time. But yeah, we actually ruled over there for 1,000 years, believe it or not. And if you don't believe it, and you're not of my nation, well, I don't give a damn about your opinion. Now, the Moor. Now, this is another crest, a coat of arms. This is Lauengen. This is from 1270. This is another coat of arms. You see the afro, the crown, the earring, and this is where they get the caricature of Mr. Popo for, like Akira Toriyama, which is the creator of Dragon Ball Z, is like, oh, I got it, based it off of a genie. But if you ask me, he based it off the Moors. All right, in my personal, what I can see, he based this Mr. Popo character off the Moors, and he's clearly a so-called black man. He's got the same earring, just like when they do Zwarte Piet in Europe, and they dress up in blackface and they put on the hoop earring. All right, that's clearly what it was based off of, if you ask me, in my opinion. This is the Moor of Coburg. This is late 15th century, so in the 1400s, somewhere there. Right? And this is a statue of the Moor of Habsburg, House of Habsburg, Switzerland, 1500s. Like I said, we were ruling over there. That's why the brother's got a chalice. He's got the crown, the double black eagle for the Holy Roman Empire, which is another video for another day. Then you got St. Maurice of the German Church in circa 1411. Right? So we proved all that. We proved more just really means a dark-skinned fellow. So what about the Moabites? Who are they, and how do we know they aren't Moabites? So how do we know that these Moors aren't Moabites? Well, I pretty much just showed you that, like I said earlier. Well, hold on. Let me say this real quick. Like I said earlier, if we're going off the definition of a Moor, anybody can be classified as a Moor if they're dark-skinned, because they just said the word Moor means dark-skinned. All right? So if you're a dark-skinned person from India, like the Dravidians, you could technically be considered a Moor. But the or African or what have you, right? Anyone that would be so-called dark-skinned. But the historical Moors that they try to link the Moabites with, that is an incorrect statement, because the Moors they're talking about are the Moors that ruled Europe, the Moors of the northern African region. That's the Moors they're talking about, which have nothing to do with the Moabites. That's what I'm saying once again. Now, we're going to touch on the dark-skinnedness of the Moabites and my theory on what they originally looked like. And once again, I will try to prove this in a later date. But anyway, So we're going to go back to the Moabites. So what about the Moabites? Who are they, and how do we know they are Moabites? Well, we know that the Moors are Moabites because when we go back, right, let me go back real quick. When we go back to Zephaniah chapter 2, we go to Zephaniah 2 and 12, it says, "Ye Ethiopians also, you shall be slain with my sword." But in other translations, it's Morians. Moria means a Moor, which simply just means, it's talking about a Negro, right? We went all over all that, right? So-called black man. I wouldn't say Negro, but a so-called black man. Now, when we get here, how do we know the Moors and the Moabites are separate? Because when we read up in this chapter, Zephaniah 2 and 8 on down, we notice that the Ethiopians, which once again would be replaced with Morians, are separate and disparate from the Moabites and the Ammonites. All right, so let's read that. We're actually going to not read the King James Version. We're going to go to the Geneva Bible because this is where the Morians is quoted. So in Zephaniah 2 and 8, it says, "I have heard the reproach of Moab and the rebukes of the children of Ammon, whereby they upbraided my people and magnified themselves against their borders. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah." See that? Moab and Sodom. Or excuse me, Moab and Ammon. There'll be a Sodom, meaning they'll be laid desolate, as that's what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened to them? It got vaporized, knocked off the map, right? All right, nobody's there's no Sodom or Gomorrah empire, right? "Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah, even the breeding of nettles and salt pits, and the perpetual desolation. The residue of my folk shall spoil them, and the remnant of my people shall possess them." That's right. That's what's the future. That's what's in store for all of our enemies, meaning all of our enemies, the enemies of the Israelites. All right, you can read about our enemies in Nehemiah 5 and 9 as well as Psalms 83. Our enemies are the other nations, the heathens, right? And that tells you in Obadiah 1 and 15, as they did to us, we will do to them, right? And they shall be as they have never been. But anyway, reading on. "This shall they have for their pride, because they have reproached and magnified themselves against the Lord of hosts." People. "The Lord will be terrible unto them, for he will consume all the gods of the earth, and every man shall worship him from his place, even all the isles of the heathen. Ye Morians also shall be slain by my sword with them." So the Morians are distinguished from the Moabites and the Ammonites. And like I told you, we can actually read about all three of these people in this same chapter, which is Zephaniah chapter 2, verses 8 through 12. Right? So that's how we know that the Moabites are not the Moors, right? So we know Moabites are not Moors. Now, who are they, and what do the Moabites look like? Well, Moab was first mentioned in Genesis, the 19th chapter, when he was born. We're going to read Genesis chapter 19, verses 29 through 37. Then I'm going to tell you how I know that what the Moabites look like physically, right? Or their physiognomy, so to speak. So this is Genesis 19 and 29. And it's funny because we were just talking about Sodom and Gomorrah in Zephaniah 2. And it says, "Surely Moab shall be a Sodom, the children of Ammon as Gomorrah." Well, they were conceived right after that. All right. So in Genesis 19 and 29, it says, "And it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters." Now, this is a really messed up thing that happened, right? But the account is recorded. Because what's about to happen is an incestuous relationship between father and daughter, which is off as hell. It's even more off considering how they did it and how they got it to accomplish. Now, this is Genesis 19 and 31. It reads, "And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father." So they had this scheme, this plan, this nefarious plan to get their father poop-faced drunk so that they could sleep with him, which is off as hell, like I told you it would be. They say, "Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father." And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he received not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Right? And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesterday with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed for our father. Right? And it says he perceived. It's important to notice that he perceived not, meaning Lot had no idea this was happening. I want to point that out. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father, and the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab, the same as the father of the Moabites unto this day. 1 second. Salakia, I was getting lightheaded. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, Moabite. This is Moabite showing facial result. This is a Moabite picture. Now I mentioned this because we just reached the Moabites being conceived. Now we're going to look at images of the Moabites and prove who they are. Let me get a drink of water or something. One second. Sorry about that. I don't know what was happening, man. But anyway, I was just getting too hot in the room. But nonetheless, sorry about that. So these are the Moabites. This is also a picture of Moab, as you can see, a feature that I will be going into later. Right? This is a Mesha of Moab. I believe this is one of their gods. And this is a picture of the emperor. This is a picture of a Chinese emperor. Now, as you can see, they have the same type of eyes. And this beard is the same beard that this Moabite god or king, whatever this is supposed to be, fake god, of course, is supposed to be, right? This is Rabath of the Ammonites. And this is a picture of Moabites. These are Moabites. This is an Ammonite, Rabath of the Ammonites. She has the same type of eyes. This is an Ammonite statue, right? So now, interesting thing, when I seen this Ammonite statue, I noticed that this is a samurai, or this looks very similar to that of a samurai. Now look at these ear things that they have on this helmet of the samurai helmet, right? It looks very similar to that which is on the Ammonites, and I thought that was interesting. But anyway, so whether we're looking at an Ammonite or a Moabite statue, that is, there's one feature that sticks out that lets you know that it can only be talking about one nation of people in the modern day sphere, right? And that is the epicanthopodes, what they call so-called epicanthopodes. All right, this framing of the eyes, so to speak, how the eyes are shaped. So an epicanthopode is a skin fold of the upper eyelid covering the inner corner of the eye. It is often seen as a normal finding in very young children, and is also common in people of Asiatic descent. An epicanthopode can be an important diagnostic finding in conditions such as Down syndrome, right? Now these eyes, the epicanthopodes, right? We know we know the nations of people that have them, right? Now, this is where I'm going to go into my theory portion, because I'm going to make an assertion, and then once again, I could be wrong. I have to do more research on it. But I have a feeling that the original Moabites were of a darker shade, but had a similar facial feature, right? Because we know, according to science, according to so-called science, and I would argue according to the Bible as well, because I say that the Bible has a way of telling that everyone was brown skinned until the birth of Esau. Well, really, you could make the argument with Cain as well, because he was marked, and his mark was him losing his pigment. That's another video for another day. But everybody was brown except Esau. That's why they tell you he came out red. They don't tell you what color Moab was, what color Ammon was, what color Jacob was when he was born. They don't tell you what color anybody else was born except for Esau, which is very telling. Because Esau was as red as the figurative devil that they always show in artworks. He was red. All right, like how Esau get when he blush, or when he gets slapped, or when he gets angry, or when he gets sunburnt. But anyway, continuing on, right? These are, once again, epicanthal foes. The Moabites, Ammonites have this. Sorry about that, man. I think it just got too hot in there, man. That's why I was lightheaded. Kind of all over the place. But anyway, here's my theory on that. It says, what was the first race of humans? All right. Now, I said, what was the color of the first humans? Now, this is all madness, too, talking about evolution. Madness, I'll debunk that another time. But what was the color of the first humans? Dark-skinned, right? They were dark-skinned. They say 100,000 years ago. Yeah, whatever. But they say that the first humans were dark-skinned. That's what I was telling you. According to science, the first humans were dark-skinned. That being said, that means what? In every region, the original inhabitants were dark-skinned. In every region, right? And I'll do a video on that in another time about every region. There are dark-skinned people. A lot of people, they like to go to Africa all the damn time and say they're African. Black people were all over the world. But nonetheless, there's even a Chinese geneticist that said this exact same thing by the name of Jin Lee, right? And I'm going somewhere with this. People are like, what does this have to do with the Moabites? Because you're going to find that there are dark-skinned Moabites with similar features, right? Now, according to Jin Lee, who was a Chinese geneticist. He was born in 1963. He's very prominent. He's a professor at the Genome Center. He's a geneticist in Shanghai. Yada yada. He has a bachelor's, a master's, all that, right? Blah 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 blah. Well, he said similar things to that the original inhabitants of his place or dark-skinned people, right? So let's read it. It says, according to Chinese scientist proves the first inhabitants of China were black. This is according to Dr. Jin Lee, which is the guy on screen, which reads, there is evidence of substantial populations of blacks in early China. Archaeological studies have located a black substratum in the earliest periods of Chinese history, and reports of a major kingdom ruled by blacks are frequently in Chinese documents. Let me highlight that real quick. Of course. Anyway, reports of major kingdom ruled by blacks are frequently in Chinese documents. Lee, which is Dr. Jin Lee, Lee was asked how he as a Chinese felt about what he found. All right. He said, after I saw the evidence generated in my laboratory, I think we should all be happy with that, because after all, modern humans from different parts of the world are not so different from each other. We are very close relatives. You could say that, but as you already know, I'm an Israelite, and we're different than all the nations. We're a peculiar people. That's thus saith the Lord. That's Deuteronomy 7, Deuteronomy 14. All right, that's all throughout the scriptures, really. But he says there's a backstory. It says, for many years, black historians and Afrocentrists have said that the first inhabitants of China were black Africans. The Negroid races peopled at some time in south of India, in Indochina and China. The south of Indochina actually has now pure Negritos as the Semangs and mixed as the Malays and Sakais, which I'll be touching on them in this video, actually, substantiating my claim that I think the original Moabites were dark-skinned, but they still had the features of the modern Moabites today. And I believe that they probably look a little different, either due to admixture or some type of albinism change, but I really don't think it's an albinism change, because I've never seen a time where albinism happened so rapidly that they became the predominant person inhabiting the landmass. I've never seen that. But anyway, says even the sacred Manchu dynasty shows the Negro strain. The lower part of the face of the Emperor Paiyu in Manchukuo, direct descendant of the Manchu rulers of China, is most distinctively Negroid. Chinese chroniclers report that the Negro Empire existed in the south of China at the dawn of that country's history. Good book on the subject. Professor Chang is saying the importation of Negro slaves to China under the Tang Dynasty. Yeah. There is evidence of substantial populations of blacks in early China. Archaeological studies have located a black substratum in the earliest periods of Chinese history. Reports of major kingdom ruled by blacks are frequently in Chinese documents. Yada, 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 right? But anyway, but in 2005, a Chinese DNA specialist, Jin Li, leading a team of Chinese and other scientists, proved through DNA tests that indeed the first inhabitants of China were black Africans. So know your history, not his story, right? Now, as you could see, right, even in this video or even this little picture, this is a dark-skinned person with the apicanthal folds, right? Right? Now, I'm going to show you some different people groups that have these epicanthal folds a lot of times, right? So, first we're going to deal with the yahawah. So, the yahawah, a nomadic tribe, the yahawah, and this is a people group in the Andaman Islands, close to India. Now, as you can see, they have the epicanthal folds. See that? But they're dark-skinned. Then you have the Khoisan people in South Africa. In Southern Africa, the Khoisan or the San people. They also have the so-called epicanthal folds, but they're so-called black people. They're of a copperish tone, copper-colored, so to speak. I think it even tells you on one of these parts. Oh no, it doesn't. I didn't include it, but yeah, they're copper-colored. Then you have the Ada people, the Agta or the Dumagat. They're Aboriginals or indigenous people of the Philippines. The Ada people, they have the epicanthal folds, the Ada people. And I've seen brothers in the truth, Israelites that know that they're Israel, they'll make the statement that, oh, look, these are the Israelites that are scattered throughout these regions. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. These could just be the original Moabites. You know, I could be wrong once again. I'd have to do more study on what their customs are and all that. But as you can clearly see, they have the epicanthal folds, but they have woolly hair. And the dark-skinned people, right? The Semang, which he just mentioned, I told you I'd mention them. The Semang are found in Malay, or parts of Malaysia, really. The Malay Peninsula, all right? They're in regions like Perak, Pahang, Kelantan, and Kedah in Malaysia. In the southern provinces of Thailand, as you can clearly see, they also have the epicanthal folds, but they're dark-skinned with woolly hair. Notice that these people are in Malaysia. They're in the Philippines. They're off the south coast of India. Then you got the Manik people in Thailand. They're widely known in Thailand. They're also known as the Sakai, which is really derogatory because they're really calling them barbarians. And as you can see, these are the Manik people, or the Manik. I don't know how to properly say it. They also have the epicanthal folds, dark skin, and curly hair, right? So all throughout these places, you have all these different people, which a dated term they used to call them was negritos. You had the Negroid, Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and you had Negrito, right? That's what they called them. Anyway, so they have the same features. Meanwhile, now you have all these people they also have the epicanthal folds, but a lot of them have lighter skin, which some of that is due to bleaching patterns, makeup, making sure they don't stay out in the sun too long, things of that nature, you know. But I have some suspicions that there might have been some cream added to the coffee. You know. But once again, I'll get more data on that as time goes. I actually have a lot of notes here, but I want to go more into that on its own. But nonetheless, to the point of that, the Moabites, one thing they had for sure was most definitely epicanthal folds, right? In conclusion, all right, they had epicanthal folds. Whether they originally looked like this, or if they look like this, or any of these, right? Regardless, we know they had the epicanthal folds for sure, because when we go back to their statues, That's what we see. Alright, so I'm going to end it there. This was a 100 slide video. I only got to about the 60th slide, but, you know, hopefully that was an edifying lesson. Put in your comments what you think. I'll try to see if I can go into it. I don't really read the comments like I used to, but I'll see what I can do. Anyways, that's going to be the end on that on the Moors and the Moabites. A quick history lesson. And we went into the Bible with it. So with that, I say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High, Yahawah, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahawashi. Yahawah is the name of the Heavenly Father, who is commonly known as God, and Yahawashi is the Savior of the nation of Israel, who is commonly known as Jesus Christ. I want to say Shalom, which means peace. To you people that are listening and learning, you brothers doing this work, truth, sincerity, and to you others that's been doing this thing before me, man, I'm going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Peace. I'm gone. Shalom.